Hello, Toy Collector fans, Universal Toy Collector here, and welcome to the channel. And welcome to another episode of Toy Photographers Showcase. Yes, hello and welcome to another episode of Toy Photographers Showcase, the series where we invite a toy photographer onto the channel and he will go through his top 5 personal favorite toy photography photographs, plus give an honorable mention. And to help me do this, as always, is my co-host and good friend, Mark BobaHicks. Hello, sir. How are you?
How's it going, Stu? Hope you're keeping well. Hope everybody's doing good tonight and enjoying themselves. Whatever day you'll get to watch this video, I know it's on tape today.
Yeah, well, firstly, all good, and yeah, secondly, this will be going up in the week, so yeah, I mean, it's great to have you here again, mate. I mean, I do really enjoy doing this series with you because I know you're a keen toy photographer, and as always, I've got an awesome toy photography photograph of yours in the background, so I'm going to pop it up here. That is absolutely awesome. I'm loving the colors of that. The green really pops. What was the inspiration for this one, Mark, for you?
Well, for this one, I'll be honest, I was just dying to get the Moss Man, just to get a few shots of Moss Man, really, because
Yeah.
I thought I was going to have difficulty getting this figure. Thankfully, a friend of mine, Jesse, the Epic Badger, he sent me one over from the States when they were released first, so I was able to get my hands on one.
Okay.
And I was just really keen to get outside and get a shot out of him because I didn't own many vintage Motu figures back in the day, but I did
Yeah.
own a vintage Mossman when I was a kid. He was actually one of the few ones I did have. So I
Yeah.
was really keen to actually get the Origins one and just get playing around because I did have a bit of nostalgia for the character.
Yeah.
And then when I was taking a few test shots of him, I actually just loved how vibrant his colors were coming up
Oh,
on camera.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I got out a couple of the skeleton warriors as well, which are also quite green because they're like glow in the dark figures, and
Yeah.
just set them up in a bit of a battle scene with Mossman, and yeah, was pretty happy with how it worked out with my usual friends. The clouds were there
Yeah.
to make things look a little bit more epic
I mean, it
and whatnot.
certainly pops. It really does. The color is just incredible. Now, when I think of Mossman, I expect to see him in like with all like greenery and shrubbery and all that sort of stuff. But seeing him out there on rocks and that sky, it just works so well because it just really highlights how cool he looks in the green. And so when I picked this picture, at first I thought you'd managed to get some kind of like dust swirling around in the background. And it was only when I took a closer look at it, I realized it was actual cloud formation and the color of the clouds. I just think it's absolutely fantastic color wise, so vibrant. I mean, it's such a cool shot. I mean, you must be pleased with that.
Yeah, I am pleased with it, and I do really like just the contrast of the greens against the greys and
Yeah,
the kind of light in the sky. And look,
yeah,
as I'm sure, as you've probably seen where you're living at the moment, and as our guest who we're going to be speaking to soon, we've been getting some really kind of good weather recently on this side of the world, but we've also been getting some pretty cool looking skies with
yeah.
cool displays of clouds. So it's a good time of year to be out taking photos outside if you're able to do it.
And again, was this early in the morning? Because I know you like to get up early in the morning and take shots
Yeah,
like before the sun rises. I mean, I just think it's stunning, absolutely stunning. This has probably got to be one of my favorites. My favorite one was the alien one that you did. I just how you did that was just incredible. But this, just for the contrast, the colors, it's just absolute quality. Really, really cool, awesome stuff.
look, I appreciate it, and like I always say though, Stu, I have a lot of help in the sense that the camera on the phone is very good. The figures look good, and then the sky it does a lot of the
Yeah,
legwork for me as well. So I do
yeah.
appreciate the compliments, but I definitely have a
Well,
have
no,
a
but
few
I mean,
tricks
look,
up my
listen, you've
sleeve.
got to have the eye to be able to put all those pieces together. you know, there's no point having a photograph, in my opinion, or a picture, in my opinion, where you think, yeah, that looks great, but the background is absolutely awful, or the background looks great, but you manage to get all those elements and make a decent photo, and that takes some doing. That really does. That takes a keen eye.
Well, thank you very much. I certainly appreciate the compliment.
You're
I'm
welcome.
glad you like this shot.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's brilliant, brilliant. Also be the thumbnail for this video as well. So, cool stuff. Should we get our guest on?
Yes, please.
Okay, well, it's an absolute delight to welcome to the channel for the first time, Chris. Hello, sir, and you are from Parts May Vary Instagram page.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Awesome stuff. So, we were chatting beforehand. Did you just want to let people know whereabouts in the world you are?
Yeah, so I'm based in Scotland. I stay in Dunfermline, which is a city now. It's now being awarded city status, which is just outside of Edinburgh. So about sort of 20 minutes on the train. Nice wee city. But yeah, I've been lived in Scotland all my life. I'm from a small town called Montrose, which is much further north. But it's nice to be closer to Edinburgh.
Cool. I mean, I've been to Edinburgh a number of occasions. I've got to say, it is probably one of my favourite cities. It is such a beautiful city. I love it.
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah,
it is lovely. I mean, is it Arthur's Seat or Arthur's Bench?
Arthur's Seat.
Arthur's Seat. Yeah, we've gone up that a couple of times, and I'd love to do it again. But yeah,
that's a fair climb.
It is a fair climb. Yeah, yeah. When you get to my age, it makes it all the more difficult. So they need to invest in like a monorail or like a one of those what do you call cable car things that I'll be happy with that. But right, we're not here to talk about Edinburgh. We're here to talk about your photography. We've got 5 pictures that you sent through plus an honorable mention. So what we'll do is Chris, we will get your honorable mention up. And I know I've spoken to you about this before. I think it was yesterday. This is your honorable mention. I think this is absolutely stunning. What I'm going to do is just get rid of that. Absolutely stunning. How in God's name did this not make your top 5?
I don't really know. I don't really know. I think it's probably a case of I wanted to pick a Last of Us photograph because I really like photographing Joel and Ellie, and I have this set from NECA, and then I also have the Lim Toys version. So in terms of figures, I prefer the Lim Toys version just because they've got the soft goods, and I'm a fan of sort of 112 soft goods. So I wanted to, the other Last of Us one that I've picked is probably higher up in my list than this one, but I am happy with this photograph. This was the first one that I took with this set. I just kind of cracked them out that night. Did the usual, ran some hot water in the sink, put them, gave the figures a bath because they're NECA, so I wanted to make sure I didn't break any joints, loosen them up a bit. Was able to pose them around and thought, yeah, okay, this is quite cool. And normally as well, I tend to photograph figures sort of full body. But I cropped in on this one a little bit, and I thought it was a bit more sort of cinematic looking. So yeah, I was happy with this one, but compared to the other Last of Us one, I thought this it wasn't quite as for me wasn't quite as good.
I mean, I think the figures are fantastic, and you say these are NECA.
Yeah.
Wow, pretty cool. I mean, so when I look through your Instagram, I did notice this, and I just thought, what a stunning picture that is. Absolutely love it. Mark?
An absolutely amazing picture, and I'm really digging just some of the stuff you've used in the background, because like I could be totally guessing wrong here, but is that ambulance? Is that like the WWE ambulance? Oh, that's brilliant, man. That is genius what you've done there, and even the way you've made it look like all kind of dilapidated and kind of overgrown with the moss and just the vegetation. That's brilliant, and I can kind of just see. And once again, I'm totally guessing here, but I'm just kind of going off like visual memory. Have you used like some of the NECA street scene diorama just over the ambulance? And yeah,
that's it.
Brilliant, man. Like awesome use of everything there that you're pulling together to make this picture. It's like, yeah, it's like you're looking at something from the game or something from the show. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is really cool. I mean, I personally didn't think that was an actual ambulance that, well, not an ambulance, but I didn't actually think it was. I thought it was like it looks CGI. But for you to actually have that as a prop, it's just stunning. I mean, the level of detail you've got with the rust around the wheel arch, and like Mark said, the shrubbery growing around it, and just the wear and tear of it. It is so believable that this was a, you know, we say it every time we do this series. It's that good. It could be like a film still, or a still from the series, or something like
Thank
that.
you.
It is absolutely incredible. And like I say, I've seen your photos, so and they are pretty good. I mean, this for me, I just love this. I think it's absolutely incredible. What a great photo, awesome stuff.
Thanks very much.
Right, with that being said, let's crack on then and have your first top 5, or the first of your top 5. So again, an absolutely fantastic looking photo. Really like it. What was your thought process or inspiration for this photo?
So there was a photograph that or an image I saw online that was I think a screenshot from the Spider-Man PS4 game.
Yeah.
Where Spider-Man was in this pose, the person on the ground was in a similar pose, and or he was fighting Dr. Octopus. I can't remember, but certainly there was the tentacle in there as well. But I just thought it was really cool. Again, I liked the fact it was quite close up, and I really like the Mezco Homecoming Spider-Man. That's probably one of my favorite Spider-Man figures that I own.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see if I could kind of get him in that pose, because normally with Mezcos they can be a little bit tricky to pose around.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see how dynamic I could get him to look, and I kind of just built it from there. I was like, right, okay, I've got him in this pose. Let's see if I can get this. I call him my sort of my goon figure. He's like the bad guy in every single shot that I have. So I was like, let's see if I can get him looking all right. And then I just sort of built it out. And I wanted to do I wanted to try and emulate that sort of rooftop nighttime, lots of harsh floodlights and things. And just kind of just see if I could make it look kind of legit. The background there is also, it's part of the NECA street scene diorama that it comes with a sort of cardboard thing that clips onto the back. So you get one daytime street scene and one nighttime street scene. So this is the nighttime one. And I just kind of put a light underneath it. And it really hits it, all the sort of window lights and stuff. And again, the fact it's in the background and a bit blurred out, I think it looks a bit alive, which I quite liked. And there seems to be things that look like reflection there, like it's water. I don't know how, that's just a happy accident, but I was like, yeah, cool, I'll go with that. That seems to be
You've certainly captured the mood of it, definitely. I mean, I just think it's an absolutely fantastic looking shot. Mark?
Thanks.
Well, it's unbelievable. And when you said that it was the that cardboard background that came with the NECA street scene diorama, I'm actually kind of glancing up to my side because I have the same diorama, and seeing the way that you've managed to light that and to get what you got out of that is absolutely amazing. I would have assumed that was some type of like HD screen in the background that you were using to create that image. You'd never know that was actually like literally a cardboard backdrop. It looks so real. It looks absolutely brilliant. The whole posing and everything of the figures is just perfect as well. And even the way we can see Doc Ock tentacle just coming into frame there as well. It's just it's an epic action shot. Definitely amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I've only just started to I say just started, maybe in the last few months or so, started to use screens in some of my shots, and sort of you do go down the digirama route, combining it with sort of practical elements. But up until the time that I shot this, I didn't really do it at all, just because I didn't really have a screen that was big enough, and also I didn't really know how to sort of light for it, and I was just intimidated until one day I was like, right, let's just try it and see what happens.
Yeah, I just think that is absolutely stunning. I mean, what I love about it is because you've got the focus on Spider-Man and the goon at the front, the background is slightly blurred, but that's okay because that works. It just fits perfectly for this picture. And like Mark said, I would never have believed that was a cardboard background. The way you've got that lit up is just incredible. And honestly, I personally, I would think this is good enough to be a graphic from a game. That's how good that is. It's just absolutely superb.
Thanks
Really
very
like
much.
that. What a great shot. Mark, do you want to go on with question number 2?
Yeah. So, how long did this all take to get set up? How long did the process take?
That's a good question. I can't really remember. It was a while ago now, but I can be working on a photograph for maybe, you know, the sort of the setup and the taking of the photograph for maybe 3-4 hours. Sometimes shorter if it all just kind of works perfectly, and you don't have to change anything. But sometimes it can be a little bit longer as well. And there's ones that I've spent, you know, 5 hours on and then just abandoned because I just couldn't get it to work. This one, I don't remember there being any great disasters. I seem to remember lighting wise, it happened fairly naturally where I was like, okay, I'll try a light here. Oh, yeah, that works. I'll try a light here. Yeah, that's working. I don't remember that I had to go back and kind of strip all the lights back to nothing and restart the process. I think the biggest challenge was really just getting them to hold their poses. Spider-Man was on a stand. I use Photoshop to remove stands. I know that sometimes
Okay.
people don't like that, but I personally hats off to folk who can get it, pose it, and then not need to use Photoshop. But I rely on Photoshop to remove stands and things.
Did
but
you
even
try
with,
it without the stand at first, Chris? Then, and it got to a point where you thought, okay, no, I really need assistance here.
yeah, I think because I certainly would have tried it, but I think the weight balance for me it was all off. I could get the goon in that position. He was sort of I think there was maybe some blue tack or something on the reverse of him, sort
Yeah.
of holding him in that position. But Spider-Man just kept wanting to topple forward.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a stand there.
Wouldn't blue tack have worked on Spider-Man's foot then, or again was it just the weight balance that was, even if he had been?
It was it from I think it was the weight balance. I think he just kept wanting to tip forward.
Yeah.
Maybe blue tack would have worked on his foot. Actually, I didn't think I actually tried that.
Okay. No, well, I mean, I wouldn't have. Well, you can't tell it's been photoshopped. So, I mean, listen, it's what each individual person deems best for their photo at the time. You know, regardless of what other people think, it's how you feel and what you think at the end of the day. So that's the thing that counts here. Is there anything that you would have done differently or changed within this photo?
I maybe would have tried to separate there's a sort of drop shippy type thing in the background that's been overlapped by the gun. I maybe would have sort of separated them a bit more, just so you could see that drop ship a wee bit more. Apart from that, if I'm honest, no. And I don't mean to say that I think it's perfect, but I look at it and I say,
Yeah.
I managed to achieve everything that I wanted from it. I'm happy with the lighting. I wanted that sort of almost dreamy, hazy rain top look, which I think I managed to get. I think there's a nice bit of sort of motion in there. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it for the most part. I think if there was,
I think it looks
sorry,
like you've got it looks like you've got a bit of like fog or something like that mist in the background behind Spider-Man there. Is that
yeah,
just the lighting, or did you go for that look?
no, I do. I use a smoke machine as well,
Oh, okay.
so the smoke was practical. I think if it would have been nice to actually have some maybe sort of puddles on the ground and stuff as well, maybe try and
Yeah.
emulate a bit of a splash. But that could have been messy to do practically and digitally. I
Yeah.
don't think I would be able to
Yeah.
pull that off.
Oh no, I yeah, really like it. The more I look at it, the more I'm thinking, wow, it's just incredible. Mark, do you want to hit up with the last question for this one?
Yeah. So, what was it about this one that made it crack your top 5? Because you've obviously done a lot of photos, and you had to narrow it down to your 5 favorites. So, what was it about this one that got it picked?
I really like photographing Spider-Man, but I find him really challenging to photograph because he's such a dynamic character. But sometimes I feel like things that look great in motion, you try and replicate that in just a single frame, and it just doesn't land or doesn't work. And so I thought this one actually probably was one of the best ones that I've managed to do with Spider-Man in that sort of aerial combat kind of look. It's the one that I've taken of Spider-Man that sort of ended up as close to the image in my head as I had. I've not sort of had to compromise as much on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and also I'm a big fan of backlighting. I really like sort of edge lighting my figures, and I really like the sort of the lighting on his hand there in the back of his head, and I really like how that looks. I know, and the edge lighting on the goon as well.
Yeah.
I'm really quite happy with that look, that aesthetic.
Yeah, no, it's like I say, it's a stunning shot. And I mean, how many shots did you take to get this one picture?
I can't remember. I tend to take quite a lot because I use the smoke machine.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hit or miss. Sometimes there's just far too much and it floods the lens. Sometimes there's not enough.
Yeah.
So I tend to take quite a few. I'm not sort of precious about it. Just until I sort of feel right, that's the one. I honestly couldn't say how many I took.
Oh, yeah. Again, I'm just really cool, really cool. Right, so that's number one for your, well, one of your top five. Let's move on to the next one. Again, we're back with the likes of us. So, what was your thought process or inspiration for this photo, or is this something that you've seen from a movie still, or a comic, or a game?
No,
even?
this was kind of just playing around with the figures. I wanted to take a photograph with the two of them, with these two Limb Toys figures. But also, I think the biggest inspiration or the biggest aim for this one was I wanted to try and build the world out a little bit. Because I find it really difficult to try and get a sense of scale when you're dealing with the 1/12 1/12 scale. I find it difficult to try and get that sense of visual scale and visual scope. Like it's the suggestion of an entire world around this single frame. So I wanted to build that out. I wanted to keep it quite wide. There's two full bodies shots in there, and there's not taking up a massive amount of the frame. There's another one just at the edge there that's maybe sort of 3/4 in the frame. There's a dog, so there's certain 4 characters in there, which requires a lot of world around. And so I really wanted to try and capture that aesthetic and make this sort of, see if I could pull off this sort of guard station with the bits and pieces that I had. Try and get that sort of gritty aesthetic that I love about The Last of Us. I just wanted to see if I could pull that off.
You've certainly done that. I mean, again, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I'm loving it. I love the fact that you've not got the dog and the character in the front there in full shot. You've just, they're there, but your focus is drawn to Joel and Ellie for sure. Again, another tremendous shot, and I think you've achieved the aim that you were going for. Mark?
Oh, it's phenomenal, and it's one of those shots where you're really kind of sucked into kind of just looking at all the little details. Like I've actually, like, I was kind of getting closer and closer to the screen as you two were talking, because I'm kind of looking behind the characters and looking at the setup you've created, just to kind of build out this world, as you put it. And it looks so good. It looks so real. It's got a real kind of lived in feel to it. Like, I could believe that this is like trodden ground and actually, used equipment. And I have to say though, now that I've seen him 2 shots in a row, what is the deal with the character that you use as your kind of goon? Is he from a particular series, or is he like a custom figure? Where does he come from?
It's I think it's Hong Kong figures, like a dog handler. It's like a Hong Kong police line. I think it was from In Demand Toys. I'd been looking for some sort of military type figure for a while, particularly one with a gas mask and a helmet. And I saw this guy up for sale for about sort of £70-80, and I thought that was quite expensive, but I thought I'll get a lot of use out of him, and I have done. One thing I will say is that he's quite the amount of accessories that he has are quite fiddly to put on, and a lot of them have broken things like knee pads, elbow pads, all these kind of little straps and buckles. But if I'm honest, they're all sitting in a box waiting to be fixed out. The more they break, I just put them in the box and just think, well, at least he's still kind of looking all right. But yeah, it's not a line that I have collected particularly. It's just I wanted this kind of masked bad guy.
He
Cool,
looks
well,
pretty cool.
awesome.
Really awesome. Yeah. Mark?
Yeah. So, how long did it take for all this to be set up?
This one was probably this one probably took a bit longer than the Spider-Man one because there was a lot of trial and error of seeing what needed to be in frame. I kind of try and set up the floor for a start, put the figures on, frame them up, and say, right, okay, I'm happy with the composition of that, and then build things around. So I knew I wanted this metal sort of gate thing behind them, so putting them in and then adding the elements and trying things out. I've got a big building which I tried behind rather than this subway diorama. And the big building wasn't quite working, and I maybe tried something else, and I thought, well, I'll just try this subway thing, and just then realizing that those other colors, the white and the blue, contrasted well against the red bricks on the left. And actually, you can see over towards the right, you can just see a little bit of that larger building starting to creep in. There's a sort of shutter door and a textured building. So it was a lot of trying things out, just seeing what worked, what didn't work, and then positioning the lights. And I remember spending quite a bit of time positioning and repositioning lights there and trying to find a way of separating Joel's head from the back of the gate, because he was really quite close to the gate, but then I couldn't really get a light behind him. So I think there was a light kind of balanced just on top that had a couple of little barn doors on it so that it didn't really spill in much into the shop. It was just catching the top of his head and the top of the rifle there.
No, it looks absolutely stunning. And when you say you were looking at things and how things would work, I'm going to ask you, do you think this shot would look as good as it does if you'd had that goon as he was fully in the shot? Or are you happy with how that is, or would that have not worked?
I'm happy with how it is, but I think him being just encroaching into the frame, I think, to me, suggests that it's just that moment of being stumbled upon. There's not like much of a standoff. It's just they've just happened to spin round and find this guy out on patrol. There's also the suggestion that there's maybe other folk just behind him as well, so it's not just a single person.
That's good point. Yeah, I mean, when you take your photographs, are you looking at telling a story within your photographs?
Yes. Sometimes it is just a case of I haven't taken a photograph in a while, and I know that this pose is pretty cool, and so I just want something that I want to see if I can make this particular figure pop or make it look good on camera. But if I have the time to put in, then yes, I do like telling a story, or creating a bit of a visual kind of a visual idea that folk can look into, and maybe not if there's not a story that pops out of them, just a glimpse of the world, a snapshot of the world that the characters are inhabiting.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Oh, really cool. Liking that. Is there anything that you would change then or do differently for this photo? I mean, you've kind of expressed that you're happy with how it is, but I mean, looking at it now, would you change anything, do anything differently for this?
I wish I had more expressive faces, like custom heads for these two figures, because there's one they don't look panicked at all about the situation, and I don't really like to go in and manipulate the faces much digitally. I'll maybe do some tweaking of the eyes, if they're looking dead straight ahead, and the character in this case is off to the side. If I feel it's needed, I'll tweak the eyeline just to match that up. But I don't like trying to change expressions or stuff. I just don't ever think that it looks that good with my ability. So I wish I had some custom heads for that. The ground, I wish it was a bit more sort of cracked and dirty, rather than just things placed on top of it. But I don't really have many sort of ground textures to use that would have worked.
I mean, would it be more beneficial than if I mean, you're saying these two are NECA figures, that NECA would do different head sculpts and you can have a different choice of heads within the set, or
well, these are not the NECA ones. These are limb toys. So they're like these are different ones. They're unofficial ones. I think they're called All That Remains or something rather than The Last of Us.
Right, yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm sure there are custom heads out there from third party sellers. I just haven't found any yet, or haven't taken the plunge, because a lot of those custom heads can be quite pricey.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark?
Yeah, so what was it for this one, or what was it about this one that made your top 5? What was it that stood out to you over your other photos?
It was probably the fact that this is the closest I've come to sort of recreating that Last of Us look in camera, I think. This is the one where I thought, yeah, this when I sit and play the game, I'm constantly looking at the world around it and thinking, God, I wish I could recreate that on my dining room table. And you never can, because it's never big enough. You don't never have enough stuff to suggest that the complete city in disrepair. But in this, I thought this is close enough. There's enough stuff here. It'd be nice to have seen, I've seen diorama sets that are more checkpoints with barbed wire and dust sheets, and that are really textured and visceral looking. And it'd be great to have them, but with what I currently had, I was like, this tells enough of the story to this is close enough to the image I have in my head.
Oh, that's awesome. And it's a real world builder of a shot. Like I keep on just looking over the ears of the dog into the building in the background, and then following along, because you just keep on kind of spotting extra little details. Like I said, it's just like a real lived in world feel. It definitely, you just get the impression that round the corner and off to the side there's just this whole big world that's off camera that we can't see. No, I think you really nailed it. It's awesome.
Thank you. That's definitely the kind of vibe that I was hoping for, that there was more beyond the lens. But I think a huge credit also to the, I don't build dioramas myself, so these are ones that I've bought or have been gifted, that people have bought me for things. So the one that has the loading area sticker is a guy called is it Lee Hughes, and then the one beyond that is a Diorama Boy purchase, and they're so well detailed. The texture and the attention to detail that they've put into those dioramas are just second to none. So I can't take any credit for that aesthetic.
Well, the thing is, what you've done is you've taken their work and you've brought it to life. I mean, you've got that vision and that eye to take a shot and create an image that looks like it's like a real world kind of image, and you've brought that to life. So everything that they've built, you've brought that to life within this photo. So I think that's testament to you as well, because some people might not be able to have that eye of being able to bring something like that to life, and you've certainly done that with this picture.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, cracking on then. Number 3. Here we go. Now, I absolutely love this. I think it's so bright, it's so vibrant. What was your thought process or inspiration for this photo?
There's a photographer on Instagram. I think it's OL Design, I think is his Instagram handle, and he had a really fantastic shot of Buzz Lightyear. I can't remember the make of figure that it is, but it's a sort of there's like die-cast metal elements. It's incredibly well detailed, and he had him in this really heroic pose, and there was a sort of space background, and it was all, to the best of my knowledge, it was all captured in camera with the use of a digirama or a screen behind it. And so this was me thinking, right, okay, how can I do something like that? I want to try putting a screen behind it. I think this was maybe one of the first times I'd used a screen.
Wow.
the SH Fig Arts Buzz Lightyear, which I think is just fantastic. And again, I was posing them around, and I had the NECA Aliens pulse rifle, and I thought, well, I wonder if
Okay.
this would work. Put it in hand, and I was like, oh, this looks cool, actually.
It worked.
Yeah, and I just thought, let's just go for that sort of like cool badass hero walking away from the scene of something. And I thought, I wanted to try the screen, as I say, and then it was like, okay, well, what do I need to cover up the bottom of the screen? Let's just add in some practical elements. We'll add some sand and stuff, and just add some nice textures, and lighting it as well. It was the thing that I found from using a screen was that you have immediately have motivated lighting. So looking at the colors and looking where the light's coming from, I was like, right, okay, well, I know there needs to be some purple on this side and there needs to be some blue this side. And it made lighting it really, really quite easy, which was great, because lighting is the thing that I can spend a lot, the longest time on.
It looks absolutely fantastic. And I think you've nailed the lighting. I mean, you've got the shading just in the back there behind behind Buzz Lightyear. And that pulse rifle, it's genius with him. I think he looks so cool. The screen at the back and everything about this, it looks to me like you could have taken this off a video game. The colors are that vibrant. It is just phenomenal. Absolutely incredible. Mark?
What amazing. And just to echo what Stu said, like, it's so cool seeing Buzz Lightyear carrying a pulse rifle. It's probably like my favorite movie weapon, and it really suits Buzz Lightyear. I could see him being just just kicking alien ass to infinity and beyond. But no, this is an amazing photo, and I kind of love the layering of it, because you mentioned you've used the screen for the very background, but I like how there's a real sense of depth. Like, I like the debris and just the different elements. I feel like I'm looking back over distance, and he's traversing towards me on screen. It's a really epic shot, and that's I didn't even know SH Figure Arts did a version of Lightyear, so he looks really good. Awesome looking figure. Did it take a long time to set this up?
Not particularly, no. I posed Buzz just sort of randomly. It was like waiting for the kettle to boil one day, and he was out on a shelf, and I was posing him around, and I thought, oh, this is a pretty cool pose, and then I put him back down, and then over a few days, I would kind of tweak the pose a little bit and get it, and look at the angle, and crouch down and say, right, okay, this is where I would the angle I would like to photograph him from. And so when it came time to actually setting the photograph up, I knew what the sort of inspiration behind it was. I knew the look I was going to achieve. He was already posed, so actually it didn't take a huge amount of time to set up. And as I say, the lighting was pretty quick on this one as well. I think this was maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most.
Wow. I just find it incredible that you've managed to get this together in such a relatively short space of time, because we speak to some people, and we've spoken to you as well, and you've said it can take a long time to get sorted out, but this is absolutely incredible. And you said this is the first time that you used a screen in the back as a background.
I think earlier when I was first starting out, I had tried using a screen, way back, and it just hadn't worked properly at all. So this was the first time, I think, that I'd used it since those days, and found it successful.
So
as far as I'm aware.
Saying that, is there anything that you would change or do differently about this shot, or are you happy with how it is?
Yeah, it's weird, because these ones are my top 5 picks. There's probably not many things that I would change with them, because I am quite critical of my own work, and there's certainly plenty on my page that I look at now and I'm like, God, I wish I could just delete, or I wish I could, but I would be happy to delete this one, or I really don't like how this one looks now. But this one I'm pretty happy with. The sand I never quite got right. I wasn't really going for these sort of big lumpy sand duney kind of things. I wanted a nice sort of flat surface, but it was just a way of sort of building things up and trying to make the rocks integrated with the sand, and that was the way that it ended up going. So I kind of just thought, right, well, the look is there.
I think it
Yeah.
works. I mean, how much of a difference do you think it would have made then if it was a flat surface?
Probably not much at all. And actually, there's a shot that I took just recently of Sarah Connor in the desert, and that was flatter sand. And I also managed to get these little bits of dried grass from like from Amazon that were for sort of one like railway models and things. It would have been nice to have little bits of foliage peppered through, just again to add that hint of more life on this alien planet. But people probably aren't looking at the sand that much in this. They're probably just thinking, oh yeah, there's sand on the planet, move on. Like, so I think we're getting into absolute minute detail when I say, I wish the sand was flatter. I wish that.
No. I think it works perfectly how it is, because like Mark said previous, you've got depth to it. You've got it looks like a barren alien world, and for me, you've captured that. I just think it's absolutely stunning what you've done here. I really do. I think it's a fantastic shot. The colors, the lighting, the figure itself, I think is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, looking at it now, the depth of the photo, and you've just really captured that alien world. And I think that's what I think. If you'd have had shrubbery and greenery in there or whatever, I don't think it would have worked personally from my point of view. Mark, what do you think?
Oh, it's an amazing shot, and it's just it's kind of a combination of just the idea, like just the cool factor of Buzz Lightyear packing a pulse rifle, making his way across this alien terrain, but then also how it's just been kind of lit and shot, and the fact that you done it in a couple of hours or less, that kind of makes it even more impressive, because like I said, like there is real depth to it. So for it to have taken so little prep time, in comparison to some of your other shots, that's pretty cool. Um, what's it about this one though that cracks your top five? How did it make it into your top pick?
The colors are a big part of it. I really like the correlation between the colors in the background and then the sort of the live action version of that. The colors are baked in. I couldn't really do anything to change that, but I like the fact that I've managed to replicate those colors within the actual shot itself, and capture those purple and orange hues and the blue on the left there. I also really like the fact that the planet behind him almost emulates the dome of his helmet, which was totally unintentional. But afterwards, when I kind of was editing, I was like, oh, this is like a bit suggestive or a bit sort of symbolic in some way. And if I'm honest, just Buzz Lightyear looking badass with a pulse rifle. Like, I'll never, if I'm scrolling through my gallery, I'll always stop and take a look at this one and be like, yeah, this is pretty cool.
I mean, if he hadn't have said that it was a pulse rifle from Aliens, I wouldn't have known any different. Now you've said it, I can see it, but before that, I wouldn't have realized. I just thought it would have been a weapon that he'd come with. But incredible. Righty ho, let's crack on then. Number 4, again, an absolutely fantastic shot. I mean, I love Wolverine anyway. I think this is absolute quality. What was your thought process or inspiration for this one?
I saw an image of a statue of Wolverine. I don't know if he was beheading someone or if he was sort of, I think maybe his claws had gone through someone's shoulder, and I think they had in the photographs, the album of photographs online, there had been a similar angle to this, and I thought it looked really cool. And again, it was a case of thinking, oh, I wonder if I could get my Mezco Wolverine to look that sort of dynamic, that sort of upswing of using his claws. And then it became a case of, right, I've started trying to pose this, and I feel it's just about to work, but it's getting everything to balance and to work well together. Then it became a case of like, I've started this and I've spent so long on it. I really want to make sure that I don't have to abandon it. There wasn't, once I kind of got beyond the pose, there wasn't a real clear idea behind the colors or anything like that. That was just kind of trying things around. But then once I sort of got that red pink hue in the corner. There was just, I don't know, I thought, oh, there's something here. There's something a bit kind of, I don't know. It was obviously going to be a violent image anyway, but just those colors, the red and the blue, just helped sort of make it pop. It was a bit sort of pop arty, very comic book style. I don't know. I feel when it was one of these things where everything just combined at that one moment, up until that point, it might have not, it might have never seen the light of day because I just couldn't get the lighting right. But once I landed on that, I thought this is going to turn out.
You mentioned the word comic book there. This again, it could be something out of a video game. It could be something out of a comic book. I mean, that is just incredible what you've managed to do there, Mark.
It's amazing. And look, I love Wolverine. He's probably like my favorite Marvel character, and I also love gore, explicit gore, and you've really nailed that in this picture. And it's that look, if it's Wolverine, I think it has to be brutal and violent. It's just it's the essential elements of that character. He's not going to pop his clothes and not cut somebody. So the fact that he's practically beheading this goon here, and just the whole pose, you can nearly actually feel the momentum of that claw strike lifting the goon off the ground. Even the way his legs are posed, you can feel it's like his whole torso is being lifted from the force of this blow by Wolverine. I also love what Wolverine's other hand is doing. Just his whole pose is really, really dynamic. And I'm not even going to try and guess how you've set up the environment here. I don't have a clue how you've managed to pull it off. I know it looks really cool, but I've no idea how you've done it, which is another feather in your cap with this one. It just looks amazing. Did it take you long to set all this up?
Yeah, this one took quite a while. It was I think I'd actually started to set it up without putting in a ground, like a base, and then wanted to see if I could get the camera angle. And so once I kind of had it all looking okay, it was obviously fairly precariously perched. And I'm sure there must have been a stand there for the goon for certain. I think Wolverine was just balanced himself, but the goon must have been on a stand, or at least a bit of wire coming up. And then once I realized that angle wise, yeah, this is all looking fine. It was then trying to sort of do that Indiana Jones thing where you lift them up, slide like a base in, and then put them down and hope that it still stays the same. And then just building out little bits and pieces. There's an old Toy Biz base thing that I picked up from eBay just in the bottom there. I think it's like a Sentinel hand. And then just beyond that, the sort of metallic shapes and things that then cuts up through the middle of the image. That's a Terminator 3 McFarlane Toys crashed helicopter base.
Oh, wow.
That I got. And I use that quite a lot. That was actually in the Buzz Lightyear shot as well in the background. It's just a really good, well-detailed, quite large set piece that's good for any kind of destruction sort of shots. And then beyond that, there's a sort of broken wall diorama thing that I got on eBay that again was in that Buzz Lightyear one, just to the left of the shot. That's just there again to add a little bit of texture. And then there's some sort of small bricks or small bits of stone scattered around just to fill up any blanks, any blank areas. And then the rest of it was done with lights and smoke.
Again, the lighting is so effective. I just love what you do with your lighting. And what I was going to say was that goon figure, I know we've seen him in a couple of shots as well, but his elbows and his joints, they just look like they're real. There's no gapping between them. You get some awkward gapping on certain figures. I think that's absolutely key to this photo. The guy looks so realistic. It's unbelievable. What a great looking figure. But how did you manage to get the head severed? Because that is just incredible, because you've got a lot of blood coming out there. I mean, how did you get that effect?
So I think the head actually was, I took the head off, and I think I just put the head to one side, and it's just the helmet that's sort of hooked on to Wolverine's claws by the strap. And then adding in this digital blood just to and a sort of bloody neck stump thing to cover up the neck peg, the peg hole. if I'm honest, I wish that I was able to have the claws coming through the helmet to add that sort of like it to come up under his chin and through there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to limit the sort of digital trickery to just doing the guys with the blood. I wasn't prepared to put
Okay.
fake blood on the figure and stain it and ruin it forever. I thought,
Right. No, fair enough.
I don't want to do that. But I also didn't want to cheat it so much that
Mm.
the claws were then being digitally manipulated through the helmet. I wanted to retain that sort of practical element. So
Yeah.
it probably doesn't read 100% that it's come right through his head. Maybe it looks like it's just gone through, come through his chin or something. But I
Yeah.
think the general idea is there.
Oh yeah, you've definitely captured the idea that he's just had his noggin lopped off for sure, without a doubt. And you saying that about you wish you could have had his claws go through the helmet. Despite that, is there anything else that you would have done differently, or anything else that you would change on this photo?
Probably not. I think I would describe this photo as a bit of a happy accident. Like I say, really, when those colors were introduced, and that was just me just sort of flicking through on the remote on this little LED light thing,
Yeah.
just trying different colors. And I think it was orange beforehand, and it looked okay, the blue and the orange. But then I just happened to cycle onto the red, and it was that moment where I would have never thought to have tried red if I wasn't just doing a last ditch effort of saying, let's just see what other colors work, because nothing's really nailing it just now. So that I think to me is just that's what I really like about some shots, where you just try something on a bit of a
Yeah.
whim, no real expectations, and suddenly it just makes you go, oh, hang on, this
Yeah, I found something
is
here.
what
Yeah.
it needed. I'm really happy with the overall composition of this shot as well. I get it's quite different to a lot of my stuff, which tends to be sort of front on, character kind of facing the camera, or sort of splash page kind of, or comic book cover type. That's the sort of aesthetic I normally tend to go to.
Yeah.
Whereas this one I just thought was a bit more vibrant, a bit more energetic, and a bit more raw and punchy.
You've certainly captured that. Again, just another fantastic photo. Loving the lighting. It's just, again, absolute quality. Mark?
I absolutely love it. And the more I look at it, it's actually beginning to remind me of back in like the mid 90s, Marvel released these type of like collector art cards, like trading cards, and
Yeah.
they'd always have these really great kind of like portraits of the characters in action. And this is almost kind of reminding me of that type of, just the way it kind of captures that kind of action moment, but the colors are so vibrant and bright, and you've lit it so well, but it's lit in such a way that, the light isn't taking away from Wolverine at all. He's really just standing out and almost like jumping out of the picture. His colors are so just, you know, the contrast is just amazing. Like it's just a beautiful shot. For you, and I suppose you've kind of nearly half answered it already, but like, what is it about this one that made it into the top 5?
Probably the composition and the colors are the two main reasons, and I agree with that yellow on Wolverine. I think he does just pop out, and the sort of colors around him. You've got blue, then at the top a little bit of that sort of purple, and then red. They all just so contrast so well against the yellow. And I love his facial expression. Like, he just looks like he's almost about to break his own teeth because he's just snarling so much. Yeah, it's the colors and the composition for me. And to your point about the art card, there's a photographer whose Instagram handle is Eye of Oatu, and he commented something very similar, saying that it reminded him of those sort of 90s Marvel trading cards. And he's a photographer that I really admire and respect, and probably subconsciously, color wise, was trying to replicate a lot of his colors, because he does a lot of stunning Marvel shots, particularly things like characters like Gambit with these lovely blues and purples, and
Yeah.
that just totally make the characters pop. So that was probably in my mind trying to replicate a little bit of that.
I mean, I think the last two, especially with the colors like the Buzz Lightyear and this Wolverine, I just think they would look fantastic in poster form. I really do. I just think the colors work. I mean, the figures are great in themselves, and again, it's all well and good having a great looking figure. It's what you do with that, and the vision that you see, and the putting the puzzle together with the lighting and the background. And you've certainly done that with the photos that we've seen so far, Chris. It's just absolutely tremendous work. Awesome stuff. Okay, so let's crack on with the last one then in your top 5, and here we go. Again, another fantastic looking photo there. You've really captured the story there, or the scene there for sure. What was your thought process or inspiration for this one?
I really wanted to see if I could make this Mezco Spider-Man feel and look like a Hot Toys. I'd seen quite a few Hot Toys Spider-Man figures on Instagram and on Facebook and stuff, and the thing I love about those Hot Toys figures are the wrinkles and the creases, and the fact that it looks like there's someone underneath the suit.
Yeah.
And I don't have the I can't afford to go and spend £300-400 on a single figure. I don't have the space to have Hot Toys. I don't have the dioramas to go with them. So I wanted to see if I could get that kind of that realistic look. And I bought this sort of this little soft goods set of the gilet, the scarf, the hat, the backpack, and it had just been sitting waiting. I hadn't really cracked it open. And I thought, right, okay, let's put it on this Mezco and see how that looks. And once I had that on, to me, I thought, wow, there's a character here. It's not just Spider-Man. I can see Peter Parker, running late for somewhere. And I kind of got him in that running pose, got the scarf, which is wired, and I thought, oh, there's so much movement to this. Let's think about where he could be. And I think I started to put him in just a back alley diorama, and I thought, you know what, I've done alleyway dioramas loads. Let's have him running through the subway.
Yeah. And
once I kind of framed him within that doorway, I thought, right, this is the direction to go in. So the steps in that background there are actually they're a set of cardboard steps that are from an Extreme Sets pop-up diorama thing. And then just using that subway diorama from Diorama Boy to sort of populate the other areas. And I mean, there's
incredible.
There's just enough to cover what you see there. There's kind of nothing really else beyond that. So it was just enough parts.
You've captured it. I mean, you've brought that Spider-Man figure to life. I mean, the look that you were going for, you've absolutely nailed it. I don't think you need to get Hot Toys when you can do that. That is just absolutely stunning. The angle that he's at, the angle that the stairs are at, it's just incredible. Mind blown. It really is, Mark.
Yeah, I have to echo those thoughts. Incredible. And I know the extreme set you're talking about with those stairs, and to see what you've actually done with that. I think what's been one real piece of genius with a lot of the photos we've looked at with you today, Chris, is how you're able to combine different pieces to just bring a world together. Like you've some cardboard, you've some plastic, even just the texture of the ground that he's running across, the way it's lit, the positioning of the rubbish, the garbage bag sitting there off to the side. Even I'm guessing, even though I could be wrong, I'm guessing you had some type of smoke effect at work here to give that kind of whoosh effect. Because like it's total motion that you've captured. Like it's like a perfect freeze frame of a person being captured mid movement. Everything from the positioning of the scarf, his arms, just incredible. I'm hoping you use the figure stand to stand them up. Otherwise, you really are like a miracle worker. How long did it take to get all of this set up?
It was fairly quick, but there was a little bit of trial and error with the steps, and then getting the sort of side pieces to not balance, but they were on a couple of cardboard boxes, like storage boxes. They were sort of like just positioned against them. And then at one point, I actually had a couple of extra figures in the background that were on the stairs to suggest other people coming in and out of the station. But they blocked so much of the light that you didn't get that sort of that feeling of daylight coming down from the street level into the subway. So it took a while to position them. They fell down the stairs a couple of times. They knocked things, so putting things back together, and then realizing actually I'm going to ditch these extra figures anyway. So there was a little bit of time lost or time spent on things that didn't make it into the final shot. But apart from that, it was pretty. It went pretty smoothly. Lighting wise, again, I knew I wanted the main light source to be coming down from the street level. And once I had that in, it was just a case of, right, well, let's edge light as much as I can. And then let's just try and put a little bit of light from underneath just to catch that face there. And that was really it. And once I added the smoke in, it kind of all just took care of itself.
Yeah, it just absolutely incredible. And I think you've captured that perfectly. I don't think there's any need for anybody else to be there or anything else to be there. I think the sole focus is on Peter Parker. I love that, and I just think it works. Is there anything though that you would change or do differently for this photo? Looking at it now.
Not that I can think of. No, I'm really happy. The thing that strikes me most about this photo is the pose and the sort of the Dutch angle. I'm really like them both. I think they work really well, and the pose I'm especially happy with because I feel like it's got that almost like he's run down and he's almost like skidding on his heel. If there was a different pose, I don't know if it would have worked so well. Yeah, I'm happy with everything, how it's all kind of clicked together.
I mean, I think even the angle that you've taken the shot where you've got the stairs at a slight tilt, I just think it works so well for this picture. I really do. And that's got to be a difficult thing to sort of to get right, because I mean that could have gone so wrong in so many different ways, but this whole image I just think is perfect as is. I really do. That's just my personal thought. And like, take my hat off to you. That's just incredible. Mark?
Thank you.
Yeah, and look, it kind of in a way, there's nearly no point in me asking why did you pick this for your top 5, because I get like we did. I think we definitely saved the best to last, because this is like, in my opinion, like the top of your top 5. It's just a perfect picture, and I think the angle really captures the idea of motion and movement, and like you said, he's running late. It's just, yeah, I just love it. It's something I'd look at and not immediately think that I'm looking at a picture of an actual action figure. It doesn't feel like I'm looking at a picture of a toy. It feels like I'm looking at an actual human running mid motion. Like that's how good it is. So yeah, look, I think I don't need to ask you why you picked it for your top 5. I think the picture speaks for itself perfectly.
Yeah,
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, Chris.
No, again, I was just going to say, I think that sort of person, you know, the like you say, an actual person in a suit, goes back to why I really like those soft goods figures. And particularly ones where there are, you know, you can't see the joints. Even with Spider-Man, the only visible joints on him are at the feet, the arms, the hands, and the neck. And I've managed to cover up the neck with a scarf. The hands, the web shooters kind of cover up those joints, and the feet, they're there if you look if you look closely, but they're not immediately visible. So I think it's just that nice moment of managing to cover up those little cracks or those seams, and sort of suggesting that this is a real living, breathing character. And I think that's possibly one of the only times I've managed to do that.
I don't know. I mean, look, the pictures that you've shown so far, I mean, I'm just going to scroll back through them. This is outstanding, absolutely outstanding. Again, I think absolutely outstanding. I mean, the joints, the elbow joints on the figure there, the Goon, I think he looks absolutely cool. There's nothing wrong from what I can see of Wolverine. I think he looks pretty cool there. Buzz Lightyear, I mean, he's going to look jointy anyway because of the costume or the uniform that he's wearing. So you can be forgiven for thinking he looks quite clunky or jointy and stuff like that. That's how he would look anyway. So I think, again, an absolute fantastic shot. These guys, yeah, I know you weren't too happy with the facial expressions, but other than that, I think they look absolutely fantastic. What a great shot that is. And then you've got your Spider-Man here. Again, just absolutely superb. I've got to say, Chris, I'm just blown away by your photography. I think absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed having you on the series. And I think you've got an eye for it. You're a talented guy. That's all I can say. Wow. Awesome.
Thanks very
stuff,
much.
mate. Not a problem. It's been a pleasure. Mark?
Yeah, great stuff, Chris. And I was enjoying earlier on, Chris, or I'm sorry, Stu had sent me your Instagram link. So I was scrolling through your stuff, and I can honestly say, folks, if you haven't done so yet, do go and follow Chris's Instagram, because there's
Yeah.
so much stuff there. No matter what you're a fan of, I'm sure you'll find some type of representation. Like, I was looking at some of your alien shots, like of xenomorphs and stuff like that earlier. They're really, really awesome. And there's just, yeah, there's so much stuff there to appreciate. And I've definitely been inspired chatting with you today. You've given me some food for thought, as I often do get when I chat to other toy photographers. That's what I kind of love about doing this. I get to see how other people approach their shots, and can give me a few ideas to work with on my own shots. So I always will appreciate that as well. So thanks.
Not at all. No, thank you. This has been great fun. I love being able to talk about this stuff, because it's rare that you get to speak in such in such detail in actual real life with people. My wife or my colleagues or my friends, or anything. They'll say, "Oh yeah, nice picture," but they don't want to sit for an hour and talk about what went into making it.
God, no. I mean, Mark's a toy photographer himself, and I mean, my toy photography isn't great. I keep saying it every time I do one of these series. But just to speak to people who've got a vision, who can bring a toy character to life the way you guys do, I find that inspiring in itself. I just love it. Like we've said before, some of the shots that we've seen are good enough that they could be film stills from a film or a TV series. You've got some great photos that you showed us today, good enough to be like graphics on a computer screen. That's how good they were. They're good enough to be like cards. They're good enough to be posters. Just incredible. And I think anybody who can bring a toy figure to life the way you guys do as photographers, I just credit to you, credit where it's due, because not many people can do it. And the guys that do it, they do it with such quality. It's incredible, and it is inspiring. It really is. It's such a talent. And what I will do, Chris, is I will leave a link to your Instagram page in the description below for this video. So if anybody watching wants to see some more top-notch toy photography, head over to Chris's Instagram page, because it's just packed full of decent stuff. It really is. And it must have been so difficult for you to pick a top 5.
Well, I tend to sort of favorite some, my more recent ones, and I started going further back through the catalog, and just because time had passed, there was a bit more kind of like, no, I forget that. But there's those the Buzz Lightyear one and the Spider-Man one are kind of pinned to the top of my Instagram page as well. So I think they were always going to be in there. But yeah, it was difficult, but I think I picked the right ones, and it was really nice hearing your guys' thoughts on them as well.
Oh no, it's been a pleasure. Absolutely, Mark.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. And I love doing this series. Just it's great getting chatting with Stu, and then chatting with different guests, and just seeing all their stuff, because I've mentioned it now a few times on the other videos we've recorded. Like, it's, there's loads of people on Instagram taking photos, but you'll never come across these people unless somebody actually points them out to you and introduces them to you. And like, I'm always grateful to Stu for this series, because I've gotten to follow now like a great Instagram accounts that I never would have discovered if it wasn't for the fact that I got chatting to them doing this show. So I'll always be grateful for that, and just grateful for the opportunity to get seeing like some real art. And because like like my stuff's okay, but people like Chris put my stuff to shame. Like his stuff is amazing, so it's
Nah, not
it's
at all.
great for me to kind of bask in the light of your greatness and maybe learn a trick or two along the way.
But you say that, Mark, it's different because every photographer's different. I mean, you've got a preference and you've got a natural beauty right on your back doorstep, so you get some great images, you know. So don't I wouldn't knock yourself. I mean, you've got an eye, mate, you've got a talent, and you've got some fantastic natural beauty there that you can exploit, sort of thing, and take advantage of. So you know, I think your photography stands up and is just as good as anybody else's that we've seen. So you know, and that's, I'm not saying that just because you're here, I'm saying it because it's absolutely true, and I mean that. So it's awesome stuff. And Chris, as for you, mate, wow, what I just, yeah, absolutely incredible. It has been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, my friend. Unfortunately, it has come to the end of the chat. Love doing this series, love meeting new people, love seeing all sorts of different kind of photography. Thank you so much. And like I said, what I will do is I will put your link to your Instagram page in the description below. So once again, a massive thank you to Chris. Mark, BobaHicks, always a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much. And for everybody who stayed to the end to watch, a massive thank you. Like we say, check out Chris's Instagram page. Absolute quality. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and we shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.
Bye.